Hey guys, Mr.Relatable here. Welcome back to episode 2 of Creative Basics. Today we are going to be covering the explosive device. It's a very simple device and you can find it under the devices menu in your creative tab, right at the very top. Kind of looks like just an exploding barrel. When you grab it, you can just throw it on down and it spawns in the middle of the tile that you threw it down in, and then you can pick it up and move it wherever you please. What does this exactly do? Well, it's very simple in essence. Pretty much when you break it, if I start the game here, if we break the device, it's going to explode and deal damage to players and structures nearby. So if we just run up to it real quick, we're just going to hit it once and it's going to blow up. It blows up, makes us take a little damage, as you can see down here, and bounces us back. So what does this exactly do in terms of mechanics? I mean, this just seems kind of basic. Well, there's a lot of settings to this thing, and we're going to be going through each and every one of them, just like we did with the music sequencers episode. So we're just going to get right into it. We're going to start at the very top, and I'm going to go over what this stuff in the background means while we're going through this. So, player damage. As you saw, when I blew up the barrel, I took 50 damage. That's from this right here. You can set it to whatever you like. You could have it on elimination, so it one-shots, 0, so it just doesn't do damage. 2, 5, you could do a lot. I personally like to have it at 0 for when I'm doing mechanics, unless you explicitly want it to do damage. 0 is your best bet for mechanics. Structure damage. That is how much damage it does to the structures around it. What this means is, you can see I have all of these written down. This wood has 150 health, and I wrote that there. This brick has 300 and the metal has 500. I actually just noticed something that's kind of interesting, is floors actually have less health than walls. Didn't know that. Walls have 150, floors have 140. Well, today I learned. And same with brick. 280 versus 300. Anyway, it's a little weird, but structure damage is how much it does to surrounding blocks and buildings. This is just what I have for the basic walls. This is going to be changing depending on what kind of gallery you throw out. It's very, very different per structure. So you're just going to have to kind of experiment and play with that for what you're doing. Damage indestructible buildings. What this means is if you go into your island settings and you scroll down under the game setting tab to allow building and, not allow building, excuse me. Building damage, environmental damage, and buildings can destroy environment. This pretty much just means if you're playing an adventure map, for example, you don't want players to be able to kind of break the walls that you have set up. So you're going to want to turn those settings on so players will not be able to destroy anything in your map. So you're kind of as if you just can't do anything in the map aside from follow the story. What this does, if we put it on yes, that means that this kind of ignores that rule set that you kind of set up. So it will be able to destroy it even if those settings are off. Health is how much health we want the barrel to have. So if we put it to 100, each pickaxe swing does 50 damage. So it will do 2 pickaxe swings, will destroy it. Same thing, with bullets and stuff like that. Each thing does a certain amount of damage to it. So we'll put it on 100 for now. Blast radius. This is pretty important. Blast radius is how big the explosion is going to be. So what I have right here is I have a little brick tile, and then I have this written 1 tile. So this is 1 tile. If you have the barrel in the middle, it actually doesn't just do 1 tile length. It actually goes off from each direction. So the barrel will do 1 tile length to each of these directions. So it actually kind of blows up in a 2x2. But if you put it on half tile, then it will go in a half tile kind of range. So it'll explode that much this way and that much this way. So it kind of evens out to make like a kind of a tile. If you'd want to call it that. I can't really edit these sides because it will just make a circle. But this is kind of the explosion radius of what it would be on a half tile. I can't really go much further than that because I can't really edit it. But that's pretty much what this means. Knockback. That's how much a player is going to be knocked back when the barrel explodes. In the very beginning, when I blew up the barrel, you notice that my player kind of flew backwards a little bit. That's what this knockback is going to be. If you want it to be very high or super high even, you can put it on that. However, for mechanics, you're going to want to put that typically on off unless you're doing some specific thing, but typically you're going to want knockback on off for mechanics. Ignore team for damage. This pretty much means if you are playing a team game, so you have two teams, you and an opponent. If you're on two separate teams, you can select which team you want to ignore the damage from this. So if you have the player damage to, let's say, 200, then it will ignore that team. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you have it on 1, it'll ignore team 1. I think that makes sense. If you have it on team 2, it won't deal damage to team 2. Teams are kind of weird, and I'm going to be making a whole explanation video, another Creative's Basic video on teams and what you can do with them. But for now, just know that you can select which team you do not want to be damaged by this barrel if it blows up. Explode on proximity range. This is pretty useful. This is very useful. If you have it on 1, for example, we're just going to be using 1 for a lot of these things because it's very simple to understand. If you have it on 1 tile, that means if a player walks in a 1 tile radius, like if I walk onto this wood, the barrel will explode. Very useful for certain things, and I'm going to be going through some advanced tricks and mechanics that you guys can do yourself to really make these kind of come alive and be very useful. Explode on proximity range. Ignore team for proximity. Same thing as ignore team for damage. If you put it on team 1, if team 1 walks into the range, it won't blow up. Team 2 walks into the range, it won't blow up. Team 3, so on and so forth. Time to detonate from game start. If you want the barrel to automatically explode after, let's say, 5 seconds of the game starting, then you can put it on 5 seconds. This pretty much just means if I was to go and hit the start game button right here, it would wait, what I have right now is 10 seconds. It'd wait 10 seconds and the barrel would explode automatically. Turn that to off for now. Display damage numbers. This means when you hit it, it'll show how much damage is actually being dealt to it. Pretty useful for objective maps. Let's say you're doing kind of a team-based game where you want to destroy the other team's objectives, something like that. You can have that on display damage numbers. Very useful. Play audio VFX. This one is extremely useful for mechanics. If you notice in the very beginning of the video, there was like kind of a big loud bang noise. And there's also sometimes some dirt that comes up. I'm not sure why the like dirt and clouds kind of didn't show up, but if you have it on play audio VFX off, none of that stuff will pop up. It's super nice. Show health bar. That pretty much just means, do you want the health of the barrel to show, or do you want the health of the barrel to not show? Just pretty simple. Health bar style. We're kind of getting into more of the game stuff, so I'm going to kind of section this video off. If you don't really care about the team-based games and you more or less care about the mechanics, there's going to be a little timestamp in the bottom left corner. You can just follow that. It'll take you to where we're talking about more mechanics. But if you're more interested in the team side of things, this is where you're going to be looking. So health bar style. What this means is if we put it on badge style and you walk up, you can see that there's a little badge that pops up that says 100 health. We can put it on badge style damage only. What this means is that the barrel badge will not show until it takes damage, and then it'll show the health. If we put it on default, I believe it just won't show the badge, excuse me. But we'll just put it on badge style for now, because all of these settings below here, you need a badge style. Hide HUD icon at. What this means is if you are in a certain range, it'll show. If you exit that range, it goes away. For some general guidelines, 1 tile is equal to 5 meters. So if we put this at 5 meters, you can see it up until I exit this tile, and then bam, it goes away. And then when I enter, it comes back. Kind of takes a second to come back. So just know that 1 tile is equal to 5 meters. So 10 meters would be 2 tiles. Require line of sight pretty much just means if we put that on yes, you won't be able to see it if there is going to be a wall in the way. But if you walk around the wall and you can directly see it, then the thing will pop up. So you pretty much have to be able to see it with your cursor. If you see it with your cursor, then you can see it. But then you can see the badge pop up. So let's just delete these walls. Going down the list yet again. HUD icon identifier. Pretty much just what this means is, oops, messed with that. If we put it on A, it'll just say A in the middle. You put it on B, it says B in the middle. That's all that really means. C, you know, it just shows it in the middle. Team visibility. You can put whichever team that you want to be able to see the badge and see the health, you would put it on that. So if you put it to 1, only team 1 will be able to see the health, see the badge, stuff like that. If you put it on any team can see it. Anyone can see it. Friendly icon text. If you just put a text in there, not sure what this one does exactly. Haven't messed with this one too much. It says display text above the icon for friendly teams. Let's go with, just go to the neutral icon text. Test 1. Doesn't seem to pop up with anything. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe it has to go away. I'm not sure what this one does exactly. I will leave an explanation in the comments once I figure this one out. But I'm not exactly too keen on what the text does, unfortunately. I'm sorry I couldn't give better explanation. But this is just what we got for text right now, and I'll leave a description or I'll leave a explanation in the comments. HUD text size. That is mostly, I'm sure, for the icon text. If we put it to 1, it's pretty small. If we put it to 2, it just gets a little bigger. Stuff like that. Nothing really crazy on that. You can only go to 1, 1.5, or 2, so not too much versatility there. We'll scroll on down. We got visible during game, if you want the banner to be showing in the game or not. You can put it on or off. Pretty self-explanatory. And we're out of the teams, so thankfully we're done with team stuff. Team stuff is not really my forte. I'm still trying to learn it a little bit. I mostly know about more of the mechanics side of things. But anyway, collide during games. What this means is if we have it on, you can't walk through it. If you have it off, collide during games off, you would be able to walk through it. It's not showing right now just because the game is not started. But just know, if this was off, you'd be able to walk through it. Collide against, if you have it on all, that pretty much just means if collision is on, so we're going to turn collision on for now. If collide against all is on, that means anything that walks into it or touches it will collide. So that means that you'll collide, you'll walk into it, stuff like that. If you put it on collide against weapons only, what this means is that anything can go through it except for like bullets and pickaxe swings. I think I can even walk through it if I started the game. However, if I swung at it with my pickaxe, the pickaxe would deal damage to it. Pretty much what I'm trying to say, if you have collide against weapons only, that means players, vehicles, anything can go through it except for bullets. If you shoot at it, it's going to blow up. You, however, can walk through it. And now we are at the channels. Channels, I'm not going to get too in-depth with, because these are very advanced and can really change the course of how mechanics work if you know how to use channels correctly. I'm going to be doing a whole triggers and channels and receivers kind of video. However, for now, just know that if you throw down a trigger, I will do that really quick for you. If you throw down a trigger right here in the top right corner, if we pick it up, we're just going to rotate it so it faces us. You can put, I put on triggered by damage just so if I swing a pickaxe at it, it'll hurt it. If you put when triggered transmit on channel 1, and then you come over to the barrel, if you scroll all the way down, you can put on explode when receiving from channel 1. So when you hit that trigger, it's going to send a signal on channel 1, and then the barrel is to detonate when receiving from channel 1. So they kind of go hand in hand. You can do the same thing with turn on visibility, turn off visibility, and when exploded, transmit on. But that is all the settings. Okay, ton of settings in explosive devices, and a lot of them not very useful. I can honestly assure you guys that you're probably not going to use 75% of these. However, we're going to be going into a little bit more of the mechanic side of them now that we've gone through all the settings, because the settings, you're probably not going to really understand a lot of them, and that's okay. You don't have to understand every single setting if you're looking to do mechanics. So we're just going to do some simple tricks with them, and the first thing that I'm going to teach you guys to do is chaining them together. So what you can do here is if you just take a barrel, I reset the settings on this one so it's back to default. If we set the player damage, you can set it to whatever you want. For this examples, I'm going to be using 0 for pretty much everything. Structure damage, we can put to 0. Damage to destructible buildings, we want that yes for now. Health is fine at 1. Blast radius, we're going to put at 2. Knockback, we're going to put that on off. And then play audio VFX off. Okay, so we pretty much just made this a very, very basic barrel. There's not too much to it. We pretty much put it to zeros and offs. Now, if we take this barrel, if you copy these, you can put them like this. And just so you guys know, if you do copy, all of the settings stay the same. Very, very useful. And we can kind of put these together like so. Now, what's going to happen here is if I break the first one, it's going to blow up and then break the second one. Second one's going to blow up, break the third one. Third one's going to blow up, break the fourth one. And the range of where they blow each other up at is the blast radius. So just ensure that if we put this on a grid, if we put it right there, it can blow it up all the way to over here, because that is the 2-tile blast radius, as we explained in the settings earlier. But we're going to start the game just to show you guys what is going on here. Hopefully clear any confusion. So what's going to happen is we're going to chain these explosions together. If we break the first one, it's going to break the second one, which is going to break the third one and the fourth one. And you can see that here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you didn't see anything. All you saw was them disappearing. And that is perfectly normal. That is exactly what we want, because we've turned off play VFX and audio. Or play audio / VFX. We've turned that off, so all you're really going to see is them just kind of disappearing. And now, how is this useful? This is really useful if you want to make things like doors that open. If we put a structure here, if we put a wall, what we can do is turn this structure damage on the final one up to 150, which is the amount on the wall. We're just going to put, build it up a little bit so we can see it from afar. But if we put the structure damage on this to 150, that means when this one blows up in the front, it's going to chain to the second one, to the third one, and then the fourth one. And because the fourth one has structure damage, it's going to deal damage around it to all structures. We could even put the blast radius on this one down a little bit, because the structure is right next to it. Because if we had a building, for example, over here, if we had it on too big of an explosion radius, you'll be able to see it, or it'll be able to destroy the other walls. So make sure that this one is as close to it as possible. We could even put it right here, and then put the blast radius down to 0.25. And now what this means is that it's only going to blow up this wall. I know that's going to sound a little confusing, but if we put another wall right here, you'll notice that it only blows up this wall. Okay? Okay. Starting the game here, just to show you guys what I'm talking about now. If we blow up the first one, second one, third one, and then the fourth one's going to blow up, it's going to break this entire pillar and leave this one safe. So hitting it, bam, it blew up. How is this useful? This is very, 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 very useful. I'm going to kind of construct a little design real quick. And this is how you can make unlocking doors in Fortnite. So let's say we have to build up a couple blocks for this. And we're going to put a floor like so. We built a couple blocks and we have a floor. Now what we're going to do is grab a barrier and put the barrier like this. We're going to put the height to a couple blocks up like so. And that should be pretty much good to go. Next thing we're going to do is have a structure that looks like this. We're going to have a tunnel. And it has a door on the other side. something like this. Now, with this kind of contraption, you have to make sure that both pieces are connected to the ground. You can't have them connected together. So what you're seeing here is that there's one connection piece that leads up to this ramp, and now this is still only one connection piece. We need two connection pieces to the ground. So what we can do here is just bring this down to the ground like so, and then delete this. And now what's going on here is that we have two connection pieces to the ground. We have this barrier here, and what we're just going to do is grab these barrels and bring them on over. We're going to just chain them over all the way to here. And you want to go to the connection piece that is closest to your barrier, or the connection piece that's holding up your barrier, excuse me. What you can see here is now we have a chain of explosion barrels that lead up to this connection piece, which is holding our barrier in place. This last connection piece we're going to want, or this last barrel, we're going to want to have the structure damage to however much the wall is, and then we're going to put the explosion radius yet again down to a measly 0.25 so it doesn't touch up any other walls. Now, if you've been following along what's going on and understand what's going on, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a barrier that spawns here, meaning that the players will not be able to walk by this tile right here. If I could replace it with brick, I would. I just don't want to break the rest of the structure. So we're just going to put one brick floor. Players will not be able to walk past this brick floor because there will be a barrier in the way. Now what's going to happen here is when we hit this barrel, it's going to blow up and then chain down the line until we hit here. This barrel has structure damage of 150, meaning it's going to blow up and deal 150 to whatever is in the 0.25 radius. The 0.25 radius encompasses this wall, meaning this wall is going to take 150 damage, thus breaking it. When this wall breaks, this floor is going to break away, breaking the barrier, thus removing the barrier from inside here. I can show you guys what is going on now, and I hope that I made any lick of sense to anyone that's watching. So if the game starts, we can see up here, I cannot fly. The barrier actually might be disabled. Actually, no, I think it is this. I think it is enabled. I just didn't put a color on. If we walk up here, yeah, we can't walk through. We can't walk over the brick because the barrier is there, and we're kind of just stuck here. If we go down here, though, and hit the barrels, I'm going to show it kind of from the side view for now. If we break the barrel, it's going to chain down the line and then blow up that final structure, which is going to break the barrier. And then this allows you to walk on through. So this is how you can make a very basic unlocking door. Super simple. Super duper simple. So this has kind of taught you guys how to chain them together, how to make unlocking doors. We're going to go through a couple more now, including some really nice tips for adventure maps and things along those lines. I know this video is getting very long, and I do apologize. There's just a lot to talk about in this. One thing that we're going to go over real quick is that if you guys noticed, it kind of took a while for all the barrels to explode. So what we can do is do a thing called instant barrel transferring. What this just means is if we have one barrel over there and one barrel over here, this will be our final explosion barrel. And once again, we're going to put the structure damage to 150 and blast radius to our 0.25. This is going to be our final barrel. On the final barrel, we're going to want to scroll all the way down to these channel things. These channels, I didn't really go too much in depth with because they are very advanced, but all you got to know for this is if you want to do instant transferring of explosions, you can hit explode when receiving from channel 1 on this final one. And then if you go to the starting one over here, we can put when exploded, transmit on channel 1. What this means now is when this barrel explodes, it's going to send a signal onto channel 1. That barrel over there has explode when receiving from channel 1. So when it receives the signal from channel 1, it'll blow up that wall over there. So this is how to make very quick like explosions and barrels and things along those lines. If you don't want to be chaining them together, just know that you only have 32 channels. So make sure that you kind of make it where if your map does include a lot of channels, you might just want to start chaining these just so you don't take up a channel slot. I'll go more in depth with that when we're in the triggers and receivers video. But now if we hit this, you'll notice that instead of it chaining down the line, it's just going to instantly blow up that one over there. There you go. So when this one blows up, that one blows up. It's kind of like a little remote control. When you press a button on one, the TV kind of turns on. Hope that makes sense. But that is how to make instant wire. Next thing we're going to talk about is for text that shows up when players receive or when players walk into a certain area. This is extremely useful for adventure maps. So if we have a text that we just pulled out, this is just a very simple text that I created. You can make text simply by going into the devices tab and your creative menu and then just grabbing the billboard. And I'm just going to restore it to defaults just so you guys see what it looks like. If you go in and just type, this is a test text, this will show up when the barrel explodes. If we type that, we could just put the text size to large, centered, and then text color is white. Background color, make sure that that is, if you want to have it clear, make sure that the background color is clear and then the show border is off. What this will pretty much do is remove that like ugly billboard stuff around it. And then make sure that this is disabled. We're not going to put it on disabled just yet, but if you want to make the text kind of pop up like adventure maps do, you're going to want that. And what this is going to allow us to do is if players walk down a staircase, for example, in your adventure map, text will pop up once they reach the bottom of the stairs. So if we just build kind of a makeshift staircase here, we'll just do this real quick. What we're going to have it is so when players walk down the staircase, the text is going to pop up right here. Very simple. How do you do this exactly? Well, let's say this is your map right now, and this is the flooring of your map. Grab your explosive device. We got one right here. Throw it on down, and then put it underneath where you want the players to, for when like the text pops up. So if you want the text to pop up when the player is right here, you're going to want to put the barrel right beneath the player. If you want the text to pop up when the player is right here, you're going to put the barrel right below that. You pretty much want the barrel below where you want the player to be before the text pops up. Hope that makes sense. We're going to go back through the exact same settings that we did when we were doing the wiring. That's 0, 0, no, 1, blast radius. For this, we can actually just put it on anything. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to put it on 0.25 just for simplicity's sakes. Knockback, we want that done off. Ignore team is all good. Okay. Make sure that play audio VFX is off. And then explode on proximity range. We're going to put that on 0.5, actually 0.25. We'll put it on 0.25 tiles. You can mess with this for whatever you want. We're just going to put it on 0.25 right now. So when you walk down the ramp, it's whenever you're in 0.25 meters of the barrel, the text will show. Now, once it's on 0.25, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then explode, or when explode, transmit on channel 1, just like we did for the instant wiring. On the text, scroll on down and set text visible when receiving from channel 1, and then turn the enabled to disabled. And that is it. That's all you have to do if you want to make text pop up. We're going to start the game now, and you will see that I'm going to walk kind of as if this was my like adventure map or whatever. If I'm walking down a staircase, you'll notice after I reach a certain, there you go. After you reach right here, the text will pop up and it will stay there forever now. So that's how to make text kind of pop up and for text to show up after a player kind of, you know, maybe destroys. Maybe you can have a door that has a text field in front of it that says this door is locked, right? And what you can have it do is when you activate the barrel, then that text turns into, or then another text pops up and says this door is unlocked, and then the one that said this door is locked will disappear. You can do stuff like that very easily, and that just allows for very, very nice and easy text for adventure maps. Hope that made a little bit of sense. Our next one that we're just going to be doing really quickly is proximity doors. Proximity doors pretty much just means same thing as what you would expect from the other doors. We're just going to build up a little ledge real quick, and we'll make it like this, and we'll have our tunnel coming out over here with our brick floor. And there you go. So here's our tunnel. And what we're going to do, we're going to have the barrier underneath. So we'll put the barrier right here. Turn up the height just a little bit. And then put barrier visibility. We're just going to put this on red force field, just so it's very easy to see. I didn't put that on last time. This time it'll be a lot easier to see. So what this is now going to do is this barrier is going to be here when the game starts. And let's say we have another brick tile over here. What we can make it is so when players walk onto this brick tile, it's going to make the barrier turn off. So it's kind of as if it's like a Minecraft pressure plate. When you step on this tile, the barrier will turn off. If we go underneath, we can go into the settings and just make sure, if you want, you can chain it, as we talked about chaining before. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to be doing the wireless barrels. So we're going to put when exploded, transmit on channel 1, copy it, paste it right around there, open it up, structure damage 150, damage to destructible buildings, we want that, yes. Blast radius is, we'll just put it on no, we'll put 0.25 just to be safe. And then put this on explode when receiving from channel 1, and that should be good to go. So now what's going to happen here, make sure to delete that extra one. Now what's going to happen here is that this barrier is going to be destroyed or blocking off our pathway until we kind of enter a specific area. And then this is what we're going to call a proximity door. So the reason why we're calling it a proximity door is because the players have to walk into a certain proximity for the door to open. So if we just walk over to here, you know, the door is locked, we can't do anything with it. But when we walk on the brick, the door is going to be unlocked. Now the door is unlocked for us. So that's how you make a couple doors. That's how you do kind of text showing up, all that fun stuff that you can use for your adventure maps. But that is going to be it for today's episode. I get it was extremely lengthy, and I'm sorry for that. It was 32 minutes long. And if you guys are at the very end and you're still watching, applause to you. I thank you for watching all the way through, and it does mean a lot that you guys actually watched this. But that is going to be it for explosives devices. Very, very, very useful devices, and just very, very advanced devices as well that you can do a lot with. So, as I said, that's going to be enough for today. No, it was very long, but hopefully you guys understood what is going on with these things. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I will try to respond to the best of my ability. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I hopefully will see you guys in the next video. Bye!